The charity gala unfolded like a carefully rehearsed illusion of perfection. Light poured from massive crystal chandeliers, scattering across polished marble floors and mirrored walls, multiplying every smile, every jewel, every quiet calculation. The air smelled of expensive perfume and champagne, and the hum of polite conversation filled the hall like background music that no one truly listened to. For those invited, this night was about appearances, about being seen caring. Elena Markova stood near the center of the room, dressed in an elegant black gown that hugged her tall, graceful frame. The cut was flawless, the fabric costly, the look deliberate. Black had become her uniform over the years, not for mourning, at least not officially, but because it allowed her to fade into control. It was the color of restraint, of silence, of survival. To the world, she was a self-made millionaire, a philanthropist, a woman admired for her strength. To the press, she was the tragic figure who never stopped searching. To herself, she was simply a mother who had learned how to breathe without air. 5 years had passed since the day her son vanished. 5 years since the park, the phone call, the unbearable hours that followed. 5 years of police reports, investigations, empty bedrooms, untouched toys, and nights where sleep never truly came. Grief had long since stopped being loud. It had settled into her bones, quiet and sharp, a constant companion she carried everywhere. Tonight's gala was hosted by her foundation, one she had built in her son's name, though she rarely spoke it aloud. The Missing Voices Initiative. It funded searches, legal aid, rehabilitation centers. People praised her for turning pain into purpose. They called it inspiring. They never saw the mornings when she sat alone at the kitchen table, staring at a chair that no one else noticed was empty. Elena, 5 minutes, her assistant whispered gently, appearing at her side. Elena nodded, lifting her chin slightly as she prepared herself. She had learned how to step into the role the world expected of her. She adjusted her posture, softened her eyes, and allowed a measured smile to form, one that conveyed compassion without vulnerability. When she stepped onto the stage, applause rose instantly. Faces turned toward her with admiration, sympathy, curiosity. Cameras flashed. Phones were lifted. She stood behind the podium, hands resting lightly on the smooth surface, and waited for silence. "Thank you," she began, her voice calm, steady, practiced. "Tonight is not about wealth or recognition. It's about children who don't have a voice. About families who live every day with unanswered questions." As she spoke, memories pressed against her mind like ghosts begging to be acknowledged. A small hand slipping from hers. A laugh that ended too suddenly. She pushed them down, focusing on the words she had rehearsed. "We may not be able to save every child," she continued, "but we can refuse to forget them." Applause followed again, respectful and warm. Elena inclined her head, stepping back from the podium as donors rose from their seats. Another speech done. Another mask held firmly in place. She moved through the crowd, exchanging polite words, accepting condolences disguised as praise. People told her how strong she was, how admirable. She thanked them all. Strength, she had learned, was simply what people called you when you had no other choice. Eventually, the noise began to press in on her chest. She excused herself quietly and headed toward a quieter wing of the venue, heels clicking softly against the marble floor. The further she walked, the less crowded it became. Her shoulders loosened slightly. That was when she noticed the girl. She stood near a long table of untouched desserts, her presence almost invisible amid the luxury around her. She looked young, too young to belong here. Her dress was simple, pale blue, clearly borrowed or donated, the hem slightly uneven. Dark hair was braided loosely down her back, strands already escaping. Her hands were clasped together so tightly that her knuckles had gone white. The girl wasn't admiring the decor or the guests. She was staring directly at Elena. There was something in that gaze that made Elena slow her steps. It wasn't awe or greed or curiosity. It was intensity, raw and unfiltered. As if the girl had been waiting, rehearsing, gathering courage for this exact moment. Elena felt a flicker of irritation mixed with instinctive caution. Over the years, countless people had approached her with stories, claims, promises. She had learned to recognize desperation when she saw it. Still, something about the girl's stillness unsettled her. Their eyes met. The girl inhaled sharply, as if bracing herself against an invisible force, and took a hesitant step forward. "Ma'am." Her voice was quiet, almost swallowed by the room, yet it cut through Elena with startling clarity. Elena stopped. "Yes," she replied politely, already preparing to disengage. The girl swallowed, her throat moving visibly. Her eyes flicked briefly to the crowd behind Elena, then back to her face. I think I know that missing child, she said. For a moment, Elena didn't understand the words. Then they landed. The room seemed to tilt. Sound drained away, leaving a hollow ringing in her ears. Elena felt as though the air had been punched from her lungs, her heartbeat suddenly loud and erratic. She had heard similar phrases before, too many times. Every one of them had ended the same way. Hope, raised like a fragile glass sculpture, only to be shattered. An assistant nearby took a step forward instinctively, and a security guard shifted his weight. Elena lifted her hands slowly, stopping them without looking away from the girl. What did you say? Elena asked. Her voice sounded normal. She hated how normal it sounded. The girl's lips trembled, but she didn't back down. Your son, the boy in the photos. I've seen him. Elena felt something crack inside her chest. Not break, crack. A sharp, dangerous fissure she had spent years sealing shut. That's a serious thing to say, Elena replied carefully. Do you understand that? Yes, the girl said, nodding quickly. I know. Elena studied her more closely now. There was fear there, yes, but not the kind that comes from lying. It was the fear of being dismissed, of not being believed. Come with me, Elena said quietly. She turned before the girl could respond, leading her toward a private lounge near the side of the hall. The door closed behind them, muting the gala to a distant murmur. The sudden quiet was suffocating. The girl stood awkwardly near the entrance. Elena remained near the door for a moment, steadying herself, then turned to face her. My name is Elena Markova, she said. If you are lying to me, you will leave this room immediately. If you are not, her voice faltered just slightly before she regained control. Then you will tell me everything. The girl nodded, eyes glistening. My name is Anya, she said softly. And as she spoke her name, Elena felt the unbearable sense that something enormous, had just shifted, whether toward salvation or devastation, she could not yet tell. The girl sat on the edge of the leather sofa as if she feared it might disappear beneath her. The room was softly lit, designed to calm donors and soothe difficult conversations, but nothing about this moment felt gentle. Elena remained standing, her back straight, one hand resting against the table for balance. If she sat, she was certain her legs would no longer obey her. Tell me, Elena said, her voice low and controlled. Start from the beginning. Anya drew in a shaky breath. I lived in a place outside the city. Not exactly a house, more like an old compound. There were fences, locks, people who watched us all the time. Her fingers twisted together, the skin around her nails raw. They said we were lucky. That we'd been chosen. Elena's jaw tightened. She had heard stories like this during her foundation's work, had funded rescues, rehabilitation programs, legal battles. Hearing it now, from a girl sitting 10 feet away, stripped of reports and statistics, made her stomach churn. How long were you there? Elena asked. 3 years, Anya replied. Maybe more. I stopped counting after a while. Elena closed her eyes briefly. 3 years stolen from a child's life. When she opened them again, Anya was watching her closely, as if afraid her words might be too much. You mentioned a boy, Elena said carefully. Tell me about him. Anya nodded. He arrived after me, older than most of us. Maybe 10 at the time. He was quiet, but kind. He shared food when he could. He tried to make the younger kids laugh. A faint, sad smile crossed her face. He had a scar near his eyebrow. Like this. She gestured just above her right eye. Elena's hand flew to her mouth. The memory struck her with merciless clarity. Lucas at 6 years old, wobbling on his bike, refusing to wear a helmet because he said it made him look silly. The fall, the blood, the tears that had turned to laughter when she kissed his forehead and promised it would heal. How did he get it? Elena whispered, her voice breaking. Anya hesitated. He said it was from a bike. That his mom yelled at him, then hugged him really tight. Elena sank into the chair, the strength finally leaving her legs. Her hands trembled as she lowered them into her lap. She could no longer pretend this was just another false lead. The details were too precise. Too intimate. What was his name? Elena asked. He said it was Lucas, Anya replied. He said it like it mattered. Like saying it out loud helped him remember who he was. A sob escaped Elena before she could stop it. She pressed her fingers against her lips, tears blurring her vision. For years, she had imagined her son calling her name somewhere she couldn't reach. Now she was hearing proof that he had never forgotten her. He used to hum, Anya continued softly. At night, when things were bad, a tune without words. He said his mom sang it to him when he was little. Elena broke. Her shoulders shook as the sound she had kept buried for 5 years tore free, raw, uncontrolled, animal. She covered her face, unable to hold herself together any longer. The millionaire, the philanthropist, the composed woman the world admired collapsed into a grieving mother, reduced to tears and broken breaths. Anya rose slowly and approached her, hesitant but determined. She placed a gentle hand on Alina's arm. He's alive, she said. At least, he was when I left. Elena looked up at her, eyes red and desperate. When did you leave? 6 months ago, Anya answered. I escaped during a transfer. There was chaos. Sirens. I ran and didn't stop. Her voice wavered. I wanted to go back. I wanted to help him, but I couldn't. You did help him, Elena said hoarsely. You came here. Anya swallowed. Before I left, he told me something. He said if I ever got out, I should look for you. He said your picture was everywhere. He said you'd never stop looking. Elena let out a broken laugh through her tears. I didn't. Silence filled the room, heavy but alive with possibility. Elena reached for Anya's hands, holding them firmly now, grounding herself in the reality of her presence. Where is this place? Elena asked. Do you know how to get there? Anya nodded slowly. I don't know the exact address. But I know the roads. The smell of the river nearby. The way the guards changed shifts. She looked up, fear flickering in her eyes. They're dangerous. Elena straightened, something steely emerging beneath the grief. So am I. She stood and crossed the room, reaching for her phone. In seconds, she was issuing quiet, urgent instructions. Names were spoken. Promises demanded. Resources mobilized. The machine of wealth and influence, which had felt useless for so long, roared to life with renewed purpose. When she ended the call, she turned back to Anya. You will stay with me, Elena said firmly. You will be protected. You will never go back there. Anya's eyes widened. What about him? Elena knelt in front of her, meeting her gaze at eye level. I will bring him home, she said. I swear to you. Anya nodded, tears spilling freely now. He believed that. A knock sounded at the door. Elena's assistant peeked in, concern etched across her face. Is everything all right? She asked. Elena rose, wiping her cheeks, her posture once again composed, but changed. Softer. Stronger. No, Elena said honestly. But it will be. As the door closed again, Elena looked at Anya, at the fragile miracle sitting before her, and felt something she hadn't allowed herself in years. Hope. Not the fragile, dangerous kind that shatters easily, but a fierce, living thing, burning bright enough to guide her through whatever darkness still lay ahead. And for the first time since her son disappeared, Elena knew she was no longer searching alone.